2 in the morning. The espresso machine hissed like an angry cat as I waited for Linda's voicemail to kick in. She'd been working late again, third time this week. The quarterly reports, she'd said. Always the quarterly reports. The phone picked up on the second ring. Hello? Not Linda's voice. Male. Deep. Confident in that corporate way that made my teeth ache. Is Linda there? I kept my voice steady, professional, like I was ordering supplies for the tattoo parlor. She's busy right now. She'll call you later. In the background, I heard her laugh. That particular laugh she used to reserve for me, back when we were 20-something and stupid enough to believe in forever. Now it belonged to whoever this was. Tell her Sam called, I said, and hung up. The rain hammered against the kitchen window of our suburban house. My house, technically, since I'd been paying the mortgage while she climbed the corporate ladder at TechFlow Solutions. Every streetlight in this city has heard a secret, and tonight I just learned mine. I sat there for maybe 10 minutes, watching the coffee grow cold, listening to the house settle around me. Upstairs, Flora was asleep, probably dreaming about whatever 14-year-olds dream about. Normal things, not about her mother entertaining her boss at 2 in the morning. My phone buzzed, a text from Linda. Working late, don't wait up. I almost laughed. Almost. Instead, I walked to my home office and fired up the old laptop. Linda had always been careless with passwords, still used the same Gmail account from college, still thought Flora 2009 was secure enough for her personal stuff. It took me maybe 5 minutes to get in. The first email was from 3 weeks ago. Subject line, last night was amazing. From Gregory.Winters.TechFlow.com, her boss, the same voice that had answered her phone. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I scrolled down, more emails, photos, plans for weekend getaways while I was supposedly visiting my mother in Boston, hotel reservations, messages that made my stomach turn, not because they were explicit, but because they were intimate in ways Linda and I hadn't been in years. The most recent email was from yesterday. Can't wait to be done with this charade. Sam's so clueless, it's almost pathetic. Once the divorce goes through, we can stop pretending. Charade. That's what 15 years of marriage was to her. A charade. I forwarded the entire email chain to Linda's contact list. Her sister, her parents, her college friends, half the office directory I found in her phone backup. Clicked send before I could think twice. Then I heard footsteps on the stairs. Dad? Flora appeared in the doorway, hair messy from sleep, wearing the oversized Patriots jersey I'd gotten her last Christmas. What are you doing up? Just working on some designs, I said, closing the laptop. Couldn't sleep. She studied my face with those sharp eyes she'd inherited from Linda. Is Mom okay? She's been weird lately. Your mom's fine, sweetheart. Just busy with work. Flora nodded, but I could tell she didn't buy it. Smart kid. Too smart sometimes. Go back to bed, I said. School tomorrow. After she left, I sat in the dark for a long time, thinking about charades and quarterly reports and the sound of Linda's laugh in another man's apartment. My phone started buzzing around 6 a.m. Text after text. Linda's sister. What the heck is going on? Her college roommate. Is this real? Her mother. Call me immediately. Then Linda's ringtone cut through the morning quiet. What did you do? Her voice was ice-cold fury. Good morning to you too, sweetheart. How was your quarterly review? You had no right? I had every right. I'm your husband, remember? Till the end and all that? Silence on the other end. Then, this isn't over, Sam. No, I agreed. It's not. She hung up. I made coffee and waited for the next move. It came that afternoon. My phone rang while I was working on a dragon tattoo for Mrs. Patterson, a 60-year-old librarian who decided to embrace her wild side in retirement. Sam's Inc. This is Sam. Is this Sam Morrison? The voice was professional, clipped. Depends who's asking. This is Jake Henley from Rockstar Tattoo. We need to talk about the designs you stole from us. My hand stopped moving. I'm sorry, what? The Celtic sleeve design for Tommy Brennan. The Phoenix back piece for Maria Santos. Ring any bells? Tommy Brennan was a local musician who'd hired me to design his next tattoo, a complex Celtic piece that had taken me weeks to perfect. Maria Santos was a regular client, a teacher who'd wanted something meaningful after her divorce. Those are my original designs, I said carefully. Funny. Because we have emails showing you copied them from our portfolio, dated last month? That's impossible. Tell it to your clients. They're not too happy about hiring someone who steals other people's work. The line went silent. Mrs. Patterson was watching me with concern. Everything okay, dear? Just a misunderstanding, I said, but my hands were shaking. By the time I closed the shop that evening, I'd gotten calls from 3 other clients, all canceling their appointments. Word travels fast in a small city, especially bad word. I drove to Donnie's gym, needing to hit something that would hit back. Donnie McGrath had been my best friend since high school, a former Golden Gloves boxer who'd opened a training gym in the old warehouse district. He was working the heavy bag when I walked in, his massive frame moving with surprising grace. "You look like someone ran over your dog," he said without stopping his rhythm. "Worse, someone ran over my reputation." I told him about the phone calls, the accusations, the sudden exodus of clients. Donnie listened without comment, then gestured toward the smaller bags. "Work it out," he said. "Then we'll figure out who's screwing with you." I spent an hour beating up leather and canvas, sweating out the anger and frustration. When I was done, Donnie handed me a towel and a bottle of water. "So," he said, "Linda's cheating, and now someone's trying to destroy your business. Think there's a connection?" "Has to be. The timing's too perfect." "She's not just cheating, Sam. She's going for the jugular. This is war." That night, I sat in my kitchen again, staring at the same window, drinking the same coffee. But something had changed. The hurt was still there, raw and fresh, but underneath it was something else, something colder. Linda wanted to play games? Fine. I'd been underestimated my whole life, by teachers who thought I was just another blue-collar kid, by Linda's parents who never thought I was good enough for their daughter, by everyone who saw the tattoos and the motorcycle and assumed I was simple. But simple doesn't mean stupid. And if Linda wanted a villain, I'd give her one she'd never forget. The next morning brought more cancellations. By noon, I'd lost half my client base. Someone had done a thorough job of poisoning the well, not just with the theft accusations, but with whispers about my unstable behavior and drinking problem. I don't drink. Haven't touched alcohol since my father's funeral 5 years ago. But facts don't matter when someone's running a smear campaign. I was closing early when Danielle walked in. Linda's best friend since college, all blonde highlights and designer handbags, the kind of woman who'd never set foot in a tattoo parlor under normal circumstances. "Sam," she said, her voice dripping with fake sympathy, "I heard about your troubles. I'm so sorry." "Are you?" "Of course. I know things are difficult right now with Linda and everything, but destroying your business isn't the answer." I set down my equipment and really looked at her. "Funny thing, Danielle. I never told you Linda and I were having problems." A flicker of something crossed her face. "Well, it's obvious, isn't it? The way you've been acting lately." "How exactly have I been acting?" "You know, paranoid, aggressive. Linda's worried about Flora." "Flora's fine." "Is she? Because Linda says you've been interrogating her, trying to turn her against her mother." That was news to me. "When did Linda say that?" "Yesterday, at lunch. She's thinking about filing for full custody, Sam, for Flora's safety." I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger, calculation. "Thanks for the heads up, Danielle. Always good to know where my friends stand." She left without another word, but not before I saw her pull out her phone in the parking lot, probably calling Linda to report on the conversation. That evening, I picked up Flora from her friend's house. She was quiet on the drive home, staring out the window at the gray November streets. "Dad?" she said as we pulled into our driveway. "Yes, sweetheart." "Mom says you're going through a hard time. She says I should be patient with you. What do you think?" Flora was quiet for a long moment. "I think Mom's the one acting weird. She's always on her phone now, and she gets mad when I ask who she's texting. And she bought me this new iPhone last week, out of nowhere." "Did she ask you to do anything special with it?" Another pause. "She showed me how to use the voice recorder. Said it might be useful for school projects." "School projects. Right. Flora, has your mom asked you to record our conversations?" She looked down at her hands. She said you might say things that could hurt me, and if I recorded them, she could help me understand." I pulled into the garage and turned off the engine. For a moment, we sat in silence. "Sweetheart, I want you to know that whatever happens between your mom and me, it's not your fault, and you never have to spy on me or anyone else, okay?" She nodded, tears starting to form. "Are you and Mom getting divorced?" "I don't know yet. But if we do, it won't change how much I love you." That night, after Flora went to bed, I did some research. Gregory Winters, Linda's boss and apparent boyfriend, had quite the online presence. LinkedIn profile full of corporate buzzwords. Facebook account locked down tight. But Instagram was more revealing. Photos from business trips, expensive restaurants, a few shots with Linda that could pass as professional if you didn't know what to look for, and one photo from last month that made me smile, Gregory at some corporate retreat, standing next to a woman who looked remarkably like him. Same nose, same smile. The caption read, "Great weekend with my beautiful wife, Karen." So Gregory was married. Interesting. I saved the photo and started digging deeper. Karen Winters had her own Instagram account, full of pictures of their suburban home, their 2 kids, their golden retriever, the perfect corporate family. I wondered if Karen knew about her husband's extracurricular activities. The next day was Saturday. Linda had left early for a client meeting, at 9 a.m. on a weekend, naturally. Flora was at a sleepover. I had the house to myself and a plan forming in my mind. I drove downtown to the Marriott, where Linda and Gregory had been meeting according to their email exchanges. The hotel bar was busy with the usual weekend crowd, business travelers, couples on dates, locals pretending they were sophisticated. I ordered a coffee and waited. They showed up around 11, Linda in a dress I'd never seen before, Gregory's hand on the small of her back as they walked to a corner table. They were comfortable together, intimate in a way that spoke of months, not weeks. I watched them for an hour, watched Linda laugh at Gregory's jokes, watched him lean in to whisper in her ear, watched them play footsie under the table like teenagers. It would have been pathetic if it weren't so calculated. When they left together, heading for the elevator, I paid my tab and followed at a distance. They got off on the 7th floor. I took the stairs and waited in the stairwell until I heard a door close. Room 712. I went back to my truck and waited. 2 hours later, they emerged separately. Linda first, then Gregory 10 minutes behind. Professional discretion. That afternoon, I sent Karen Winters a Facebook message with the Instagram photos and a simple note. Thought you should know what your husband does on weekends. Then I went home and waited for the fireworks. They started Monday morning. My phone rang at 7 a.m. "You bastard!" Linda's voice was shaking with rage. "What did you tell Gregory's wife?" "Just the truth. Isn't that what you're always preaching? Honesty in relationships? You have no idea what you've done." "Enlighten me." Karen called Gregory's boss. "There's going to be an investigation. Gregory might lose his job." "That's terrible. Really breaks my heart. And if Gregory goes down, he's taking me with him. Is that what you want? To destroy Flora's future?" "Flora's future was never in danger from me, Linda, but you might want to think about that before you plan your next move." She hung up, but I could hear the panic in her voice. "Good. Let her sweat for a while." That evening, Donnie called. "You need to get down here, now." I found him at the gym, pacing like a caged animal. "We got a problem, Sam." "What kind of problem?" "The kind where Gregory Winters and 2 of his buddies showed up here an hour ago, asking questions about you. Wanted to know about your temper, your drinking, whether you'd ever been violent." "What did you tell them?" "I told them to get lost. But Sam, they weren't just fishing. They had a file on you. Photos, dates, places you'd been. Someone's been following you." I felt the cold calculation spreading through my chest again. "Did you recognize the other 2? "One of them looked familiar. Big guy, expensive suit. I think he's a lawyer." "They're building a case." "For what?" "Custody, maybe harassment charges. Linda wants me gone, and she's not playing around." Donnie cracked his knuckles. "So what do? We give them what they're looking for." "Come again?" "They want to paint me as the villain? Fine. But villains don't play by the same rules as heroes." I left the gym with a plan forming in my mind. Linda and Gregory thought they were smart, thought they could manipulate the system to get what they wanted, but they'd made one crucial mistake. They'd underestimated me, and that was going to cost them everything. Tuesday morning brought an unexpected visitor. I was opening the shop when a black sedan pulled up outside. A woman in a business suit got out, mid-40s, sharp eyes, the kind of professional confidence that screamed lawyer. "Sam Morrison?" "That's me." "I'm Janet Pierce, representing Linda Morrison in your upcoming divorce proceedings." "Funny, I don't remember filing for divorce." "My client will be filing this afternoon. I'm here as a courtesy to discuss terms." I unlocked the shop door and gestured for her to follow me inside. She looked around with barely concealed distaste, at the flash art on the walls, the leather chairs, the smell of antiseptic and ink. "Nice place," she said, not meaning it. "Thanks. So what terms are we discussing?" She opened her briefcase and pulled out a folder. "My client is prepared to be generous. She'll take the house, her car, and primary custody of Flora. You'll have supervised visitation rights and keep your business, such as it is. Supervised visitation? For what? There have been concerns about your stability. The recent harassment of Mr. Winters, your erratic behavior, the allegations about your business practices. What allegations? The intellectual property theft, the complaints from former clients about substandard work, the drinking. I laughed, and she flinched slightly. I don't drink, counselor. Haven't touched a drop in 5 years. But I'm sure Linda forgot to mention that. Nevertheless, my client has documentation. Of course she does. Tell me, does this documentation include the emails between Linda and Gregory, the hotel receipts, the photos of them together? Janet Pierce's expression didn't change, but I saw her grip tighten on the folder. My client's personal relationships are not relevant to this custody matter. Aren't they? Because I'm pretty sure a judge might be interested in how Linda's been using our daughter to spy on me, recording our conversations, pumping her for information. That's called parental alienation, isn't it? I think we're done here. She stood up, smoothing down her skirt. You'll be served with papers this afternoon. I suggest you get a lawyer, Mr. Morrison, a good one. After she left, I sat in my empty shop and thought about next moves. Linda was escalating, bringing in legal firepower, trying to corner me before I could mount a defense. But she'd made another mistake. She'd shown her hand too early. I called Flora's school and spoke to the guidance counselor, a woman named Mrs. Rodriguez who'd known Flora since kindergarten. I'm concerned about my daughter, I told her. There's been some tension at home, and I think it's affecting her schoolwork. Actually, Mr. Morrison, I was planning to call you. Flora's been withdrawn lately, and her grades have slipped. Is everything okay at home? My wife and I are having some difficulties. I'm worried Flora's being put in the middle. That's always hard on children. Would you like me to speak with her? Please. And Mrs. Rodriguez? If Flora mentions anything about recording conversations or spying on family members, I'd appreciate a call. Of course. We take any signs of emotional manipulation very seriously. That afternoon, the process server found me at the gym, divorce papers just as Janet Pierce had promised. I read through them while Donnie worked the heavy bag, each page more outrageous than the last. Linda was claiming I was an unfit parent, that I had anger management issues, that I'd threatened her and Gregory, that my business was failing due to my erratic and unprofessional behavior. This is garbage, Donnie said, reading over my shoulder. Pure fiction. Yeah, but it's well-crafted fiction. Someone spent time on this. So what's the plan? I folded the papers and stuck them in my jacket pocket. Time to play some chess. That evening, I drove to TechFlow Solutions. The office building was mostly empty, but I could see lights on the 4th floor, Linda's department. I parked across the street and waited. Gregory's BMW pulled up around 8 p.m. He went inside and came back out 20 minutes later with Linda. They drove separately to O'Malley's, an upscale bar downtown with a rooftop deck and city views. I followed at a distance. The rooftop was busy for a Tuesday night, young professionals unwinding after work, couples on dates, groups of friends celebrating something or nothing. Linda and Gregory found a corner table with a view of the harbor. I ordered a beer at the bar and positioned myself where I could watch them without being seen. They were deep in conversation, heads close together, Linda's hand on Gregory's arm. Planning their next move, probably. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Having fun playing detective? I looked around the bar, scanning faces. Another text. Turn around. Danielle was sitting 3 tables away, raising her wine glass in a mock toast. I walked over and sat down across from her. Fancy meeting you here. Not really. I knew you'd follow them eventually. You're predictable, Sam. Am I? Absolutely. The wronged husband playing private eye, thinking he's so clever, it's almost sad. What's sad is watching my wife's best friend enable her affair. Danielle laughed. Enable? Honey, I've been planning this for months. The words hit me like a slap. What? You really thought this was all Linda's idea? Sweet, naive Linda who couldn't plan a surprise party without help? I stared at her, pieces clicking into place. You set this up. I introduced them at the company Christmas party. I suggested the hotel. I even helped Linda pick out her lingerie for their first date. Why? Because you ruined my life, Sam. 5 years ago, when you exposed my little bookkeeping problem at the salon. Remember? You cost me my business, my reputation, my marriage. I remembered. Danielle had been skimming money from the beauty salon where she worked as a manager. I'd discovered it when Linda asked me to do their books as a favor. I'd reported it to the owner. You were stealing. I was borrowing. I would have paid it back. With what money? That's not the point. The point is, you destroyed me, and now it's my turn. She leaned forward, her voice dropping to a whisper. Linda thinks she's so smart, thinks she's playing you, but she's just my puppet. Every move she's made, every decision, I've guided her to it. The affair, the divorce, the custody battle, all me. You're insane. I'm thorough and patient. Do you know how long I've been waiting for this moment? How carefully I've planned every detail? She pulled out her phone and showed me a photo. Me, sitting in my truck outside the Marriott last Saturday. I've been documenting everything, Sam. Your stalking, your harassment, your unstable behavior. The judge is going to love this. I felt something cold and sharp settle in my stomach. Not anger, understanding. You've been feeding information to Linda's lawyer. Among other things. Did you really think those business complaints were random? Or that your clients just happened to hear about your theft from independent sources? She was right. I had been predictable. I'd been playing checkers while she was playing chess, thinking 3 moves ahead while I was reacting to each crisis as it came. But now I knew the real game. Thank you, I said. For what? For telling me the truth. For showing me exactly who I'm really fighting. I stood up and walked away, leaving her sitting there with her wine and her smug smile. Outside, I called Donnie. I need a favor. Name it. Remember that security camera system you installed at the gym? The one that records audio? Yeah. What about it? How would you feel about having a drink at O'Malley's tonight? Maybe sitting near a certain blonde woman who likes to talk too much? Donnie chuckled. I'll be there in 20 minutes. As I drove home, I felt something I hadn't experienced in weeks. Hope. Not the desperate hope of a man trying to save his marriage, but the cold satisfaction of a player who'd finally figured out the rules. Linda wanted a divorce? Fine. Gregory wanted to play corporate games? Bring it on. But Danielle had made this personal, and personal meant I was going to enjoy what came next. The villain was about to take center stage. The recording was perfect. Danielle's wine-loosened confession. Every word crystal clear thanks to Donnie's military-grade equipment. Her admission about orchestrating the affair, manipulating Linda, destroying my business, and planning the custody battle. I made copies. Lots of copies. Wednesday morning, I drove to Linda's office building and waited in the parking garage. She arrived at her usual time, 8:15, double-shot latte in hand, phone pressed to her ear. Gregory, I don't care what Karen said to your boss. We stick to the plan. She hung up and headed for the elevator. I fell into step beside her. Morning, sweetheart. Linda jumped, nearly dropping her coffee. Sam, what are you doing here? We need to talk. I have nothing to say to you, and if you don't leave, I'm calling security. The elevator doors opened. I stepped inside with her. You might want to hear this first. I pulled out my phone and played 30 seconds of Danielle's confession. Linda's face went white. Where did you get this? Your best friend likes to brag when she drinks. Did you know she's been playing you from the beginning? The elevator reached the 4th floor. Linda didn't move. That's impossible. Danielle would never... Listen to the whole thing. I handed her the phone. I'll wait. She listened in silence, her expression changing from disbelief to shock to something that might have been hurt. When it finished, she handed the phone back without looking at me. She's lying. Is she? Think about it, Linda. Whose idea was it to go to that Christmas party where you met Gregory? Who suggested the hotel? Who convinced you to file for divorce instead of just leaving? I could see her mind working, connecting dots she'd refused to see before. Even if that's true, she said finally, it doesn't change anything. I still want out. Fair enough, but the custody battle ends now. Like hell it does. Linda, I have recordings of Flora talking about the spying you asked her to do. I have documentation of your affair affecting your work performance. I have evidence that your best friend has been manipulating you into making decisions that hurt our daughter. The elevator doors opened on the ground floor. A security guard looked in. Everything okay here? Fine, Linda said quickly. We're fine. The doors closed again. What do you want, Sam? Joint custody, no supervised visits. And you fire Janet Pierce and get a lawyer who's interested in mediation, not warfare. And if I don't? Then I release this recording to your HR department, your parents, and every mutual friend we have. I let them know that Linda Morrison, the woman who prides herself on being smart and independent, got played by a vindictive hairdresser with a grudge. Linda was quiet for a long moment. You've changed. You have no idea. She got off on the 4th floor without another word. That afternoon, I paid a visit to Gregory's office. TechFlow Solutions occupied 3 floors of a glass tower downtown, all open workspaces and motivational posters. Gregory's office was in the corner, with views of the harbor and enough space for a putting green. He was on the phone when I walked in, something about quarterly projections and market penetration. Corporate nonsense. "I'll call you back," he said, hanging up. "Sam, this is unexpected." "Is it? I figured we should meet properly, man to man." Gregory was younger than me, softer, with the kind of tan that came from weekend golf rather than actual work. His suit probably cost more than I made in a month. "Look, I know this is awkward." "Actually, it's not awkward at all. See, I know exactly what you are, Gregory. You're a predator who targets married women because they're easier than single ones, less demanding, more grateful." His face flushed. "That's not... How many others have there been? Before Linda? I think you should leave. In a minute. First, I want you to listen to something." I played him Danielle's confession, watching his expression change as he realized what he was hearing. "Jesus," he whispered. "She set us up. Both of you. Linda was just the weapon. You were collateral damage." Gregory slumped in his chair. "Karen's already filed for divorce. My boss is talking about reassigning me to the Portland office. My kids won't even look at me. That's what happens when you mess with other people's families. So what now? You want me to grovel? Apologize? I want you to disappear. Transfer to Portland, take a job in another city, I don't care. But you stay away from Linda and you stay away from my daughter. And if I don't?" I leaned forward. "Then I make sure everyone in this building knows exactly how their rising star seduces married women. I send this recording to your wife's divorce lawyer. I make your life as miserable as you've made mine." Gregory stared at me for a long moment. "You know, Linda was right about you." "What did she say?" "That you were smarter than you looked, that people underestimated you." "She got one thing right." I left him sitting there and drove to Danielle's salon. She was with a client, touching up highlights on a woman who looked like she spent more on her hair than I made in a week. "I'll be right with you," Danielle called out, not looking up. "Take your time, I'll wait." When she saw me, her hands stilled. "Sam, what a surprise. Finish up. We need to talk." 20 minutes later, her client left with perfect blonde waves and a credit card receipt that made me wince. Danielle locked the door behind her and flipped the sign to closed. "So," she said, "what can I do for you?" "You can explain why you thought destroying my family was worth 5 years of planning." "I told you last night." "You ruined my life." "I reported a crime. You were stealing." "I was surviving." Her composure cracked. "My husband had left me, I had bills to pay, and I took a little money from the till. Money that would have been replaced." "With what? You were broke?" "I would have figured something out. By stealing more." She turned away, staring out the window at the street. "You don't understand what it's like to lose everything. Your reputation, your friends, your self-respect, to have people whisper about you wherever you go. So you decided to make me feel the same way. I decided to make you pay. And it worked, didn't it? Your business is in ruins, your wife is leaving you, you're about to lose custody of your daughter. How does it feel, Sam? How does it feel to be the one everyone's whispering about?" I pulled out my phone and played the recording from O'Malley's. Her voice filled the salon, clear and damning. "Here's the thing about revenge, Danielle. It only works if you don't get caught." The color drained from her face. "You recorded me?" "Every word. Your confession about manipulating Linda, orchestrating the affair, sabotaging my business. All of it." "That's illegal. You can't record someone without their consent." "Actually, in Massachusetts I can. One-party consent law. Look it up." She sank into one of her styling chairs. "What do you want?" "I want you to call Linda's lawyer and tell her you lied about witnessing my erratic behavior. I want you to contact my former clients and admit you spread false rumors about my work. I want you to disappear from my family's life completely. And if I don't? Then I send this recording to everyone you know. Your clients, your landlord, your ex-husband, the licensing board. I let them all know that Danielle Walsh is a vindictive liar who destroys families for sport." She was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. "You can't do this to me, not again. Watch me." I left her there and drove home. Flora was in the kitchen, doing homework at the counter while something that smelled like lasagna baked in the oven. "Hey, sweetheart, that smells amazing." "Mom's working late again. I thought I'd try cooking." "Your mom's going to be working late a lot for a while." Flora looked up from her math worksheet. "Are you guys getting divorced?" I sat down beside her. "Probably, but that doesn't mean we love you any less." "I know. And Dad?" "Yeah?" "I'm sorry about the recording thing. I didn't want to do it." "I know you didn't. It's not your fault." She hugged me, and for a moment everything else faded away. The divorce, the custody battle, the revenge, none of it mattered as much as making sure Flora came through this okay. My phone buzzed. A text from Linda. "We need to talk. Tomorrow night. O'Malley's. 8 p.m. I texted back, "Fine, but just us. No lawyers, no friends, no games?" "Agreed." I looked at Flora, bent over her homework, trying to pretend her world wasn't falling apart. Tomorrow night, I'd finish what Danielle had started. But tonight, I was just going to be a father, making dinner with his daughter, pretending that sometimes the good guys actually win. O'Malley's was quieter on Thursday night, the after-work crowd replaced by couples on dates and friends catching up over drinks. Linda was already there when I arrived, sitting at the same corner table where she and Gregory had planned my destruction just days earlier. She looked tired. Older somehow, as if the weight of the last few weeks had finally settled on her shoulders. "You look terrible," I said, sliding into the seat across from her. "Thanks. You really know how to charm a girl." "I'm out of practice." The waitress came by and I ordered coffee. Linda was nursing what looked like her second glass of wine. "So," she said, Here we are. Danielle called me today. She was crying. Said you threatened to destroy her life. I gave her the same choice she gave me. She can take responsibility for what she's done or face the consequences. She says she was just trying to help me see what kind of man I married." "And what kind of man is that?" Linda was quiet for a moment, staring into her wine. The kind who records private conversations, the kind who blackmails people to get what he wants, the kind who ruins lives for revenge. "Sounds familiar?" "I never wanted to hurt you, Sam. I just wanted out." "Then you should have asked for a divorce. Instead, you let your psychotic best friend turn our marriage into a war zone." "Danielle isn't psychotic." "Isn't she? She spent 5 years planning to destroy our family because I reported her for stealing. She manipulated you into having an affair, convinced you to spy on our daughter, and fed lies to your lawyer to make sure I'd lose custody. What would you call that?" Linda's hands were shaking slightly. "She said she was protecting me." "From what?" "From you. From being stuck in a marriage that was going nowhere." "Was it? Going nowhere?" She looked up at me then, and I saw something I hadn't seen in months. Uncertainty. "I don't know anymore. Everything's so twisted around. I can't tell what was real and what was Danielle whispering in my ear. The affair was real. Gregory was real. The lies you told Flora were real. I know." Her voice was barely a whisper. "I know what I did." "So what happens now?" "I don't know that either. Gregory's transferring to Portland. His wife is taking him for everything he's worth. Danielle won't return my calls, and you—" She laughed bitterly. "You turned out to be nothing like I thought you were." "What did you think I was?" "Safe, predictable, someone who would just roll over and let me walk away with whatever I wanted. Sorry to disappoint you." "Are you?" Because I think you enjoyed this. The planning, the manipulation, the revenge. I think you discovered something about yourself these past few weeks." She wasn't wrong. There had been a dark satisfaction in outmaneuvering Danielle, in watching Gregory's perfect life crumble, in seeing Linda's certainty turn to doubt. But there had been a cost, too. "What about Flora?" I asked. "What about her?" "Joint custody, equal time, no more games." "Fine, but I want her in counseling. All of this has been hard on her." "Agreed. What else?" "I keep the house until it sells, then we split the proceeds. I keep my car, you keep yours. We divide the savings accounts 50-50. "And the business?" "That's yours. What's left of it." I almost smiled. You'd be surprised how quickly word spreads when people find out they've been lied to. 3 of my former clients called today to apologize and reschedule their appointments. "Good. You always were better at that job than I gave you credit for." We sat in silence for a while, watching the city lights reflect off the harbor. It felt like the end of something, but not the dramatic confrontation I'd been expecting. Just 2 people who'd hurt each other, trying to figure out how to move forward. "I should go," Linda said finally. "Flora's waiting up for me." "Linda." She paused, half standing. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry, too. Sorry it came to this." "Are you?" "Yeah, I am." She nodded and walked away, leaving me alone with my coffee and the wreckage of 15 years. My phone buzzed. A text from Donnie. "How'd it go?" "It's over." "Good over or bad over?" "Just over." I drove home through the quiet streets, past the tattoo parlor where I'd rebuild my reputation one client at a time, past the gym where I'd work out my frustrations, past all the familiar landmarks of a life that was about to change completely. Flora was asleep on the couch when I got home, her homework spread out on the coffee table, the TV playing some late-night movie. I covered her with a blanket and turned off the lights. In the kitchen, I made coffee and sat at the same table where this had all started, looking out at the same window, but everything was different now. The hurt was still there, probably always would be, but the anger was gone. In its place was something cleaner. Acceptance, maybe, or just exhaustion. My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Sam, it's Janet Pierce, Linda's attorney. Former attorney. Yes. Well, I wanted to apologize for the way I approached you earlier this week. I was working with incomplete information. You were working with lies. Yes. I've spoken with Ms. Walsh. She's admitted to fabricating several of the allegations against you. Good for her. Linda would like to proceed with an uncontested divorce. Mediation rather than litigation. Are you amenable to that? As long as the terms are fair. I believe they will be. I'll have the papers drawn up by Monday. After she hung up, I sat there for a long time, thinking about choices and consequences, about the difference between justice and revenge, about the price of winning when everyone loses something. Outside, it started to rain again. The same rain that had been falling the night I discovered Linda's affair, washing the streets clean for another day. I finished my coffee and went upstairs. Tomorrow, I'd start over. New clients, new routines, new ways of being Flora's father in a broken world. But tonight, for the first time in weeks, I was going to sleep without planning my next move in someone else's game. The war was over. And maybe, just maybe, that was victory enough. The last laugh, it turned out, was silence.